Platinum is back with a video. We know that it's been a minute, but we have many of things to talk about. Spring is here in Texas, which means there's bluebonnets on the highway, and we also have a new coach at the University of Texas in Chris Beard, as well as a lot of compelling practice stuff and spring practice to be discussing. So join us for that. Before we hop into it, though, one, please subscribe if you haven't already. We are currently on the road to 3,000 subscribers come the Arkansas game on September 11th, a goal we're hoping to hit. So please share with your fellow Texas fans and friends. Help us to grow the show and hit that goal come that big game this September. Also, drop us a like, leave us a comment. We love interacting with you guys. And one final thing before we get started is we want to give a shout out to our bracket challenge winners. We did a March Madness bracket. Had quite a few people join, and got to give the shout out to our two winners. We actually had two of Spinny and Texas Gemini. I guess he or she is a Gemini. So shout out to y'all. You had really good brackets for a very crazy March Madness type thing. Madrid almost won too, so we almost had
close to just pick them up winners. It was tragic.
Tragic. Indeed. So if you guys are those winners, please give us a DM on Twitter. Let us know. Give us proof, and maybe we'll hook you up with a prize. We'll see what happens. But anyway, off of that, we're going to start with our Chris Beard discussion. So, Matt Myers, give me your initial thoughts on the Chris Beard hire.
I'm very excited about hiring Chris Beard. There's a lot of layers to the Chris Beard hire. I think the first one you got to look at is Texas taking the head coach from Texas Tech and just their fan base really losing their minds. Like, still today, you go on Twitter and find a bunch of Tech tiers. They're still not over it, possibly even more delusional now than they were before. So it's definitely going to reinvigorate the rivalry with Texas Tech because, it was kind of like a partial rivalry for years, but we never really cared that much about it. But now it's kind of fun to mess with Texas Tech and get under their skin. They're reminding me of Aggie a lot right now. So, yeah, it's good to see Chris Beard coming home to Austin. He seems very excited about it. And, we hired him over a meal at McDonald's. So that's a pretty nice, slam dunk by Chris Del Conte to pull that off. But, yeah, Chris Beard, just the hire in general, speaking like on the basketball side of things, it's very exciting because, you're already seeing that, like the culture change and just the personnel change happen really quickly. He's organized a staff that's a bunch of freaking rainmakers. Jarrett Howard from Kansas, who was under FBI investigation, which I love. That's exactly what we need. So we have him in the boat, which is, an electric recruiter. And then we have Rodney Terry, the UTEP head coach. He left being a head coach to come be an assistant in Texas. We also got another head coach, Chris Ogden, from UTA, who was the head coach there, and he came to be an assistant here with Chris Beard. And then also Ulrich Maligi, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but from Texas Tech, their lead assistant, the lead recruiter. He's also on the boat in Austin now. So we have like a superstar staff by, college basketball standards. And then today we hired John Riley as the strength coach, which if you ask Texas Tech fans, 2 months ago, they're like, this guy's the best in the country. Now they're saying he's overrated. But nevertheless, that was a great hire. And now it's all about the roster with, Jalen Tyson flipped from Tech. He's coming to Texas now, a guy that I think is going to be really good at Texas. The type of player you want in college basketball, someone that can create their own baskets because, let's be honest, a lot of the time college basketball is unwatchable because these kids and these offenses are usually just stagnant, bad. But Tyson's the type like Luka, Harden, I would compare him, where he can hit a shot, create, hit the step backs when he needs them. So very excited to see him and Brent Orange. And then a couple transfers announced yesterday and 2 days ago as well. And then some Andrew Jones, Jace Febres coming back. So a lot of moving pieces for the roster. We have probably like 5 or 6 kids on the roster right now, and I'm sure y'all know who they are. And we'll add more, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. So I'm just super excited. Apathy was really strong for a while with Coach Shaka Smart, but now I got that flame back for Texas basketball. What about you, Matt?
Um, I think it's always a good mark of a good coach when the fan base that he comes from is very irate about him leaving and wishing bad things upon him. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, this guy must be really good. Um, I'm glad. I'm glad. I didn't know he went to Texas or was an alum of Texas. I think that's pretty cool, and it makes sense and why he's back. I'm sure. I'm sure Texas Tech isn't too happy after he said he'd be there forever. But I mean, come on now. Uh, it's kind of analogous to Texas football in the sense that Chris Del Conte was looking for the splash hire, and the new coach brings in a great team. I think it's a story as old as time when with Smart in the sense that you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're just not, I mean, what was it 5 years, 5 6 years, no tournament wins? Like, I mean, come on. In like one or two of those years, we didn't even make it to the playoffs to the tournament itself. So it was a long time coming. I'll miss the big men coming, I guess, but I mean, I'll take everything else we're getting instead. A little more consistency. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if you guys saw the Jim Rome. Trevor, you sent it. If and man, if you don't like an egg McMuffin, you ain't a truth teller. Straight up. I don't trust you. But yeah, I love the energy he brings. I love the mentality of winning already, even though it might be a little bit of an act. I still like the attitude. But yeah, slash hire. I'm so glad. I'm so glad we got him. What do you think, Trevor?
Yeah. I mean, from the get-go, I'm already kind of telling that this Chris Beard guy is a journalist's dream because he seems to be giving a lot of ridiculous quotes right out of the gate. It's a huge hire. I mean, it's the guy that was the clear number one choice for us. I know that a lot of people were talking about Royal Ivy possibly coming from Brooklyn, and I know that KD was a big advocate for him, but doesn't have any head coaching experience yet. I know he will be, and he's definitely an up-and-coming guy, former Texas player, so that would have been really cool. But, you know, with Beard, he's the solidified guy. It's not quite the equivalent of hiring an Urban Meyer because Urban won so many national titles, and Chris Beard currently hasn't yet. But in terms of the bigness of the hire, I mean, Chris Beard's definitely a top 5 coach, in my opinion, in college basketball right now. Big recruiter, big name, coming back to the university that he liked. So that alone is huge. And it just felt good. Like Myers was saying, getting a coach from Tech. I mean, look, I haven't been a Texas fan for all my life. Like Myers and like I'm sure a lot of y'all that are watching. I didn't start becoming a Texas fan until I went to the university in 2014 as a freshman. And these past, what would that be, 6-7 years of men's athletics. Women's athletics been pretty good. Men's athletics in general, outside of like baseball, golf, and swimming, have not been very exciting. And honestly, in-state schools like Tech and TCU and Baylor have been very competitive with us. So I'm not used to the feeling of being like, oh, Texas is the clear top dog in the state, the straw that stirs the drink per se. But this kind of gave you that hint of nostalgia of like, yeah, Texas Tech could have offered me 2 arms and a leg and, all the money in the world to stay here and given me all the power I could ever ask because I was the guy. But still, I want to go to Texas. And yeah, it's awesome. I mean, look, Texas can easily be a basketball power. I mean, obviously it's a football school, but I mean, Texas as a state is developing some of the best high school prospects in the country right now. It's becoming a basketball hotbed. You got Austin, you got notable alum like KD. Now you got a great head coach, and they're building a brand new stadium with some of the best facilities for practice in the nation here. Not this coming season, but the season thereafter. So really all the chips are falling into place. I know that when they started looking to build the new stadium, they're like, oh, well, we better get Chris Beard to go with it, and they pulled it off. So good for CDC. That was a big hire. It feels good to hire a coach this again shows us like, hey, Texas is finally getting serious about winning, because we easily could have pulled the route of again, like hiring a Royal Ivy who, no shot at him. He's going to be a fantastic coach, and I'm sure going to be very special one day. But, hiring more of like a project coach or something, and not just going in with the big splash and whipping out the wallet and showing the nation that, hey, we're serious about this and we're not just playing an act. So it's been good. That, and also, if you haven't yet, go watch the dude's press conference. It's electric. I mean, this guy, he better do well. I mean, he seems to have all the self-confidence in the world, but man, he's making big, bold claims from day one. I mean, hinting at like winning, not just winning, but winning national titles. Like he's basically guaranteeing at least one national title, which I've never heard a coach do ever. So even if you're not a big, go ahead.
No, like I've never heard of it in like an intro presser like that.
Yeah. Like, so even if you're not a big press conference person, which I know a lot of people aren't, this is one that you should definitely watch because it's so different than anything I've ever seen from any coach. Outside of maybe like that new Lions coach, Motor City Dan Campbell, about biting the kneecaps.
Yeah. I forgot that. That was
outside of that press conference, I haven't seen one that's more electric than that. Myers, any additional thoughts?
Yeah, that press conference was insane. And honestly, I kind of feel like I was watching Herman for a minute, and then he would just go out there and then just say, we're going to win like a Monday night game. He kept saying that. He's kind of like obsessed with winning. It's kind of bizarre, but I guess that's what you want in a coach.
We tweeted out that video where like he literally forgot a question that a reporter asked, and he's like, well, after this, I got like 10 recruits to talk to and talking to players. My mind has shifted to winning. Repeat the question. Which Madrid was like, I don't know if that's fake or if that's like, is that going to be a permanent fixture of the guy? I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Just to add, I think it's kind of crazy that we just stole an in-conference and in-state rivals coach. That's like kind of unheard of and kind of ballsy, but I respect it. It's a power move, and I like it.
Yeah, it puts Tech in their place, and I can't imagine what Lubbock's going to be like when Chris Beard and Texas return next season. It's going to be like he's going to actually need security with him at all times.
I'm not even joking. Death threats.
Yeah, no, I'm not even joking. He's going to be like
wear like a bulletproof vest.
Yeah, if not death threats, they'll at least like I don't know, throw some like slime on them and feathers and like crazy stuff like that. So yeah, Texas Tech fans are already wild. A lot of tortillas will be thrown his way. I would imagine. So
and it's Tech. It's not like Texas where like they care about security and stuff. Like Tech, like they storm the field whenever basic stuff happens or storm the court. Like they're going to be so lax. Yeah. So I'm scared for him.
At least one drink will be thrown at him during that game. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah.
Or at least up some popcorn or something. I'm serious.
But that's gonna be must-watch TV.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for that.
Even if like we lay an egg or like some weird like no win comes from it, like I'm gonna be so compelled just to see how these fans react. Because I forgot who said it, but someone said it in their group text and they're like, someone said like, "Damn, that's all Tech has." He's all they had. So
really, all they hung their hat on, man.
Yeah,
it's gone. Root for them.
Yep.
Well,
any final thoughts with the Chris Beard hire? I mean, obviously big notable transfers coming in that has occurred as of late. Devin Askew from Kentucky, who's a really good guard here, and then Timmy Allen from Utah. So, I mean, it's kind of the Chris Beard effect is real. Like a lot of things are coming in motion immediately. And I know that, from the outside looking in before Shaka left, I mean, it was looking like this coming season was going to be an absolute rebuild. But honestly, from first glance, like we may not like make the Big 12 championship, but we're still going to be competitive from what I'm seeing at the moment. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Any thoughts, Myers, Madrid?
Oh man, I'm just in show me mode. We've been fooled a lot with new hires, new rah. I mean, when Herman came in, we were in the same way. So I'm just like kind of with football. I'm just kind of reserving judgment. But yeah, I mean, the dude and the energy around the program is just at an all-time high. And then pair that with the new stadium, I think it's going to be fireworks. And I do think we will win big, but we'll see. It's still quite a ways till we play some hoops.
Yeah, I appreciate pumping the gas there.
Yeah.
Madrid, any final thoughts?
No, it's about the same for me. I'm pumping the brakes on all pumping of Texas men's athletics until I see it in the fall. So I'm reserved as well.
Smart stuff.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, we will move on to a sport that people care about a little bit more, at least on our channel. We're going to talk some Texas football here. Spring ball has been in session. There was that pause for a good week and a half with COVID, hence why we didn't really do a video in a while, just because we had that big pause. But now that we got a good week and a half or so of practice under the belt and the spring game coming up next weekend, we feel now is an appropriate time to kind of give a review of what we've been reading thus far. Myers, how about you lead it off? What are kind of some big talking points in terms of spring ball at the moment?
Well, obviously the main talking point, the most people that want to know answers to the quarterback situation, and honestly, the answer is there is no answer right now. They've just kind of been going back and forth. Some have been having Carr's been playing well some days, and then Casey will have his good days. I believe I saw like a clip of Hudson throwing a touchdown in the scrimmage, and then he also threw a pick six in the scrimmage. So it's just kind of up and down. And really, that's what I've been reading. The whole offense in general is just kind of behind a little bit because I know it's a complex new system. That's part of it. But also, I mean, you think about it. Compare this to Alabama's offense. These are a lot of the same coaches. I mean, at least Sarkisian, Milwee, and Flood. They're coming in with those Bama. Like they literally just had that offense 4 months ago in their hands, and now they have this team that's just learning something on the fly. Our receiver room is clearly not where it needs to be to win at a championship level. And then offensive line, I like it a lot actually, and we'll talk about that, but it's not proven yet. And then quarterbacks, they're also unproven, but very talented. All we have really that's proven is Bijan Robinson, which is, I mean, he's a GOAT. But other than that, the offense is just it's taken a learning curve, and that's normal. That's expected. Thankfully, we do have a spring ball this year, unlike last year. Without one, that was rough. But I mean, there's just so much to dive into. And then defensively, I'm hearing great things as well. I mean, not as well. Like in contrast, the defense is apparently doing a great job with Coach PK's system. The defensive line in particular is slowly learning. They're taking their lumps a little bit from what I've read. But I mean, the DBs look fantastic. There's depth there, and breakout star potential with like Josh Thompson, Deshaun Jameson, even Darian Dunn. And then the linebackers, man, that's the good news. I mean, we're hearing about David Benda, and then the edge guys with Jacoby Jones and Ray Thornton. Hearing these guys, pop out is super exciting because we needed it, man. That was probably our biggest question mark on maybe the whole team. And we're hearing great things about him in the spring, which is what we needed to hear. So, I mean, just at first glance, so much to take in, but I mean, I'm happy that we're making strides. And then Sark comes on on his press conference the other day, a couple of days ago, and says that basically the team is, if we keep our current trajectory of improvement and learning and, just being coachable, that we have a chance to be a really good team in the fall. And I know you don't want to hold them to that like we tend to do as fans, but I mean, that's just a good endorsement on Sark. He's a very authentic guy, very transparent. So I feel like when he says something like that, there is some truth to it. So hopefully everything's going well. I mean, it's just practice, it's hard to judge anything, but I mean, at first glance, I'm excited. I cannot wait for the spring game. I just can't wait to go see what we look like and to see our offense, the plays, everything. So April 24th will be a fun day.
Absolutely. I echo a lot of the same sentiments. Before we get into the players and everything, I just want to shout out the UT like social media team, just doing a good job during this spring with the lack of like, I don't know, content to go off of. But I feel like they're doing a lot better job. Well, they've evolved over the years, but I don't remember learning this much or getting this much content about assistant coaches and like their whole mantras and everything. I think that's really cool, especially with a new staff like this and interesting staff like this. I think it's really cool that they're introducing the assistants like that. And it's also fun to kind of like read between the lines and on players' social media stories and stuff. You know, Bijan hanging out with Hudson Card, and it's like, oh my god, it's gonna be him. Obviously, we don't know, but it's just funny to think that way because we have like little to no information. But yeah, I always figured the offense would take its time the most, just for how complicated it is. But one position group I'm really happy with that Matt mentioned is the linebackers. When Juwan Mitchell decided to enter the transfer portal again, which I think he's definitely leaving this time. I was kind of scared. I was like, oh no, like this is like an even bigger hit, leading tackler last year. But like just hearing all the good news and from that position and the possible like a change to position of Tyler Owens to linebacker, I think that's really good. Ray Thornton's probably going to come along, play a lot this year and come along well. And just excited to see PK's scheme a lot. I think people are really excited about Sark's offense, but I think what people are going to be really more impressed with in the fall, or maybe even the spring game itself, is that defense. This is PK's first time with all the bells and whistles, and I don't know. I'm ready. I'm ready to be a defensive powerhouse again. I'm most excited about that. Just to touch on the offensive side one more time. Wide receivers are crowded. It's hopefully the Bijan clip is what we can expect, but it's going to be crowded there for a while. But yeah, I'm more excited about the defense now as I've been researching it more. So yeah, this is my first thoughts.
Yeah, a lot of the same sentiments from me. I mean, what I've been hearing a lot of, there seems to be a handful of players that are standing out that I'm hearing, in these press conferences and from what I'm reading. But from but big picture, what I'm getting is kind of what Myers was saying. These are obviously new systems, and Herman was there for 4 years, so this is new for them, new for the coaches and stuff. And I think we've also kind of forgotten as fans that spring ball is a little messy because you even if like Herman even had some changes with his offensive coordinators and stuff. So learning a new playbook has been kind of a commonality with spring ball, even in the past handful of years. So I think we've honestly kind of forgotten that, like, oh, this is new. The players might be a little bit slow on things. It may not be, sunshine and rainbows during this time. But so, I mean, that's definitely something to note, that a lot of these position groups, though very talented, there are, groups where the cream hasn't quite risen to the top per se. You look at that with the quarterbacks, both of them still fighting, which I fully expect that to be a battle really going all the way up till the season, probably into the season. I think we hinted at that previously. You see that with quarterbacks. You see that with the O-line. A lot of really talented players in that group, and I'm very excited to see them develop. But a lot of rotation from what I'm reading. A lot of guys trying different positions, rotating people in, seeing who fits where. From what I've heard, Okafor seems to be a real standout, which honestly kind of surprises me, but also makes me feel really good because that guy deserves it. He's been here for a long time, has worked his butt off. Wide receivers, kind of much of the same, but One of the big players that we're hearing about a lot is Jordan Whittington, which is also super exciting to see a guy that's paid his dues, been through so many injuries, but has worked his way up. And honestly, like I know that we were all saying like, hey, Josh Moore is probably going to be that Smith type receiver that moves around a lot and gets the bulk of these catches. But from what I'm hearing now, and honestly, I kind of see it, Whittington might be that Smith, wide receiver in this offense for this coming season for Sark. And it makes sense. I mean, the guy is like he is very much kind of a Swiss Army knife type player. I mean, he was a running back for a while, and they needed him to be. Obviously, didn't get much playing time in that position, but from all that we've seen and heard and read in practices while he's been at Texas, I mean, he seems to be able to play a bunch of positions. I mean, he played defense in a high school, and he had that great state championship game. So yeah, definitely a player to watch. So you're hearing him a lot. Of course, you're hearing about Bijan. He's the best player on the team. Everyone knows that. But then you're hearing a lot about Roschon, which has been a little bit surprising. But at the same time, I'm also not that surprised because I really always from day one, I've loved Roschon's character, a former quarterback, so he knows what it means to be a leader and to work hard and be attentive. And I think that has benefited him, just that DNA and his system with adapting to a new offensive playbook and everything. And he's just he's a good running back. Like last season, you also got to remember he was injured for most of it and still doing a lot of duties and stuff. And even then he wasn't bad or anything. Plus more time developing. So I don't know. That on the offensive side of the ball. We can talk more of defense, but let's now shift over to offense and really kind of hammer that home. Myers, anything to add on the offensive side of the ball based off of those talking points?
Yeah, let's talk offensive line. The offensive line is, it's a position that I'm really watching, and I'm sure everybody else is, because it's just a lot of unknowns. And that's not to say we don't have a bunch of, players that can play there. It's just we don't know how they're going to line up, who's starting, all that good stuff. So, I mean, what I'm hearing the most is Christian Jones at left tackle, Okafor at left guard, Jake Majors at center. He's safe. He's starting center. And then Junior Angulau at right guard. He's also safe. He's starter. And then right tackle, I'm hearing Andre Karich, who I think he's safe, but he may slide over to left tackle, honestly, because I think Karich is super good. He's like a technician. He's got great feet for a tackle. And I don't know. I just think that if we can't have Christian Jones become what we want him to be, you flip Andre Karich out to the left tackle. Just, you want your best tackle on the left side as always. So, yeah. And then we also have guys like Jalen Garth working in the tackle and
Hookfin.
Hookfin. That's one I was forgetting. So, I mean, there's a lot of bodies in the room. And then we also have Tyler Johnson at guard, working with the second team, trying to get into that starting. And then also you're hearing Rafidi Girmay, which is crazy. I wrote him off after the spring game, foolishly of me. I don't know why I did, because he was like snapping horribly. But he's been running with the ones some. I mean, a lot of people are running with the ones. But, yeah, so just to see him taking a step forward is really big for us. And I think there's a lot of depth there, honestly, with Logan Pars taking steps forward, it seems like. And watching that footage of Bijan, that one clip we had, the offensive line, I know they were playing probably our second team defense is what it looked like, but they were moving people, especially Jake Majors and Angulau. So, I mean, it's very little to read into, but I mean, it's just kind of a continuation of what we saw with Majors and, kind of the offensive line we have now that we saw against Kansas State in that one clip. So I'm hoping we can just keep putting this offensive line together with, Kyle Flood's a clear upgrade from everything that we're hearing. Kyle Flood is probably one of our top three coaches on the staff. Him, Sark and Coach K are three best coaches. So I'm kind of liking the O-line. I'm very excited about it, and I just can't wait to see what we do on April 24th with them and who starts out as the starting five.
Madrid, any thoughts?
Oh, it kind of reminds me of the linebacker position in the sense that like we were like, oh my god, what's this going to be? Like, this could be the real Achilles heel of that side of the ball. But I don't know. It seems like it could be the most stable comeback, and then eventually having Kerstetter come back from injury, hopefully, and it's like, okay, we got some depth, and we got depth, we got youth, and we got veterans there. So it's or upperclassmen, and so it makes you feel a little bit better. I really like what Kyle Flood's been doing as well. Clear upgrade. It's just a mentality thing that this coaching staff brings, and I'm pretty sure, and I feel like they're pushing these kids to be even better than they already are. So yeah, I really love what I'm seeing from there. Would stand out from stand out like that, like Carriage and Majors like that in the receiver room, but I think that'll be a project in the making. Looking back, watching some of Sark's past media availabilities, he kind of just, when asked about the receivers, he kind of just makes blanket statements about all of them. He would kind of just say all their names, and it gives you the idea of what he's working with. But yeah, offensive line, probably one of the most stable positions outside of running back on the offense, and thank God for that, because that's everything.
Yeah, let's talk about receivers. I mean, obviously, I just talked about Whittington. He seems to be the shining star here. Troy Amir is out, as well as Jake Smith, obviously. So all three of those could be our starters right there, but depth is still important. Myers, any thoughts on other receivers besides those three?
Yeah, that's the big three right there. And then obviously we're waiting on Jake Smith to come back. But, I mean, in that one clip we saw what looked like the first team offense, and Marcus Washington was on the field. So I guess that's a good sign that he's, he's maybe taking a step.
Social media, don't sleep.
Good follow?
Solid follow. When he starts to post more, then you're like, all right, something's working here.
Yeah, and then Brendan Schooler's back at safety, which I think that's probably a good thing for us, because we're kind of thin at safety beyond, with Xavier Alford and I forget who else, but with Xavier Alford transferring out, it's just kind of the safety's room's not as deep as it used to be. So it's good to see Schooler looking, making plays out there against Bijan on that one play, and the reports have it that he's like battling for first team reps. Like, he's going in there, and it's not Jaron Thompson. Is it Jaron Thompson that he's taking reps from? Which is, yeah, I think it's Jaron Thompson or BJ Foster.
Yeah.
Which I mean, that's surprising. I thought Jaron Thompson's been awesome. Wait, let me go back to offense. So yeah, the receiver room, it's not great. It's not great. I mean, Josh Moore, you got a solid core. That's known. But beyond them, Alvonte Woodard, is Kennedy Lewis even playing? I mean, I've heard this man like.
I haven't heard his name in a while.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to maximize the top three and then hit the portal. I mean, there's no secret to it. Sark's going to be shopping for free agent wide receivers over the next couple of months, and hopefully you can just get 5 or 6 dudes that you can win with, because I mean, receivers are not super important, honestly, like in terms of relative to O-line, D-line, quarterback.
Yeah.
Receivers are kind of more a dime a dozen in that sense, but you have to have elite receivers to win championships, or good receivers. And we just got to find, a way to get 4, 5, 6 good receivers that, just fulfill their roles and aren't liabilities. And I think we'll be fine, especially with Bijan. And I think Hudson or Casey will be really dynamic as well. And, the O-line's looking solid too. So you just got to find, serviceable receivers, and then hopefully get like a dynamic playmaker in the portal or something like that. But not to undersell what Josh Moore and Whittington can do, and Jake Smith when he's healthy, because those guys, they have it. I mean, they have the skill at 5-star.
You've seen it.
Jake Smith was the Gatorade Player of the Year, high 4-star at Arizona. And then Josh Moore, I mean, he high 4-star as well. And we saw it last year, 10 touchdowns. So the receiver room is just – it doesn't have the quality depth that you want. But, I mean, the top's nice. we just got keep plucking away and hopefully developing these guys or getting new bodies into that room in the next couple months.
Yep, Coleman's got some work to do. Not that he's not doing a good job. I mean, I'm sure he's doing a great job. He has been doing a pretty good job, but yeah, that'll definitely be a big focal point as we go forward with the spring and into the summer. It's just getting them all up to speed. Because I mean, all of those guys, none of those guys I can, speaking for myself, I fully trust yet. I mean, Jake Smith has, had some drop issues as well as injuries. Weddington has had injuries a dozen. And then Josh Moore, he's been hot and cold. He's had games where he's great. He's had games where I don't even hear his name. So, yeah. And then that's not mentioning the guys behind him who we just don't see a lot of consistently. A lot of talented guys. Just we need development, and we need players to step it up, I think. Would you read anything?
No, I echo the same thoughts on the receiver side of the ball. Just personally hope to see Jay Witt more involved. We saw that one clip from the league practice where he was lining up besides, was it Joshua Moore? I think so. Yeah. It just looked nice. Yeah, it looked good. Looked nice to see. So yeah, I'm with you guys on the same. It's top heavy, and it's injured and unsettled top heavy, if that makes sense. And then the rest is just we just need depth on that side. So yeah.
Okay, so the tight end room now we're gonna take a look at for a second, and we're hearing a lot of good things out of it for the first time in a while. But the surprising thing is when we say we're hearing good things, you would think that it means that Jared Wiley has emerged and taken the number one spot and been flashing in practice, which I'm sure he's doing well. But Cade Brewer, I mean, Coach Sark has been high on Cade Brewer. I think in his press conference he complimented him. And he was there for media availability with, Roshan and Josh Thompson, and they had Cade Brewer and Coburn. So I guess they're looking at Brewer as one of the leaders in the locker room, which, I mean, if he can get slimmed down to what he looked like as a freshman, I was actually watching Texas versus OU in 2017, and I saw a couple good plays by Cade Brewer where he hurdled a dude and then had a nice, I don't know what it was, but he had a nice play. And USC. I was like, that player, USC, he had a great play too. But that freshman Cade Brewer is literally a different player than the Cade Brewer we saw last year. I think it's pretty clear that he got put too much weight on him, and it just he couldn't move well, and he also tore his ACL or whatever. So a lot of setbacks, but I mean, every now and then you see players like Jordan Shipley that they're just kind of hampered by injuries, and then all of a sudden, fifth year or fourth year seniors, they just put it together for one super season. So I mean, Jordan Hicks did that too. So hopefully Cade Brewer can help us out in some capacity. I wasn't expecting it, but I mean, hey, if he's impressing Sark, then I'll believe in Cade Brewer. But then behind him is what we're hearing, Gunnar Helm and Juan Davis, the two freshman tight ends. They've been really impressing in practice. I mean, Gunnar Helm is a dude that's really big, but I think he's 6'5". I don't know how much he weighs, and he moves really nicely at his size. And I think Cade Brewer said that he's got some dog in him too, so he'll finish blocks, stuff like that. And also Juan Davis, I think, is a wild card. I'm not sure what position he'll end up being, because I think he can play in many different spots, but I've heard great things about him too, regular things about him. So. And then obviously Jared Wiley, our unicorn that we're waiting for him to emerge, is also there, in the wings. So a lot of good things coming out of the tight end room, which, I mean, Sark uses his tight ends pretty well from what I've seen at Washington and at Alabama. So I mean, I got some good offensive line, tight end, running backs, quarterbacks. I feel great about. Receivers are the question mark, but yeah. We can transition to defense now if y'all want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, the Cade Brewer thing is interesting. Yeah, because like you said, freshman Cade Brewer really looked really good. Yeah, I think him losing weight, and honestly, he was a receiver at Lake Travis. He wasn't even a tight end when he was in high school. So I'm curious if maybe they're going to turn him into less of a blocking tight end and more of a, type of receiver style tight. Yeah, I think losing the weight is huge, and just using him in the appropriate ways. I think when Andrew Beck graduated, they wanted to groom Brewer into basically an Andrew Beck 2.0, and those are very different players from what I saw comparing Brewer's freshman year to what Andrew Beck was doing at the same time. So my guess is that adding all the weight on, and yeah, Andrew's recovering from an injury at the same time probably wasn't the best for Brewers. So yeah, definitely something to watch out for. That's interesting. We've all known that he's a good leader. I mean, he's been a captain, I think, for a while, or at least in that realm for a good amount of time. Brewer family has a lot of football history, so that goes with it too. But yeah, tight end room. It makes me interested if Sark's having a hard time trusting these receivers, if we get these two tight end sets a little bit more frequently, and obviously focusing on running the ball as well with those two tight end sets. Kind of like what the Cowboys did for a while back in the Romo days. I feel like they did a lot of tight end and running the ball. But yeah, just some food for thought. Madrid, anything, or should we hop over to defense? You're on mute, buddy. You're on mute still.
Bad. I had a whole spiel right there. My bad. No, I believe in Jared Wiley. Jared Wiley is the only tight end on the Texas Longhorns. I believe in Jared Wiley supremacy, so I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Defense, Myers, how about you lead it off? What are you liking?
Well, I think the first thing we need to talk about is the emergence of, I call them kind of the big three in the front seven right now. I mean, they're not really the big three. I mean, Alfred Collins is obviously our best player in the front seven, in my opinion. But David Benda, Ray Thornton, and Jacoby Jones getting all this praise from Sark and sources and everything. David Benda is a guy that I really liked out of high school because of his film. I thought he was a perfect Big 12 linebacker. He's not huge. He's fast, sideline to sideline. And he's kind of stout too, so he can come up and hit you and fill gaps. And just nothing but great things, hearing great things about him from what I've read. And then, of course, I was already kind of hyped on him, hearing good stuff. And then Sark comes in on his press conference the other day and just goes on a spiel on how he's in love with David Benda and he's just doing everything right. So that's what you want to hear. So, I mean, put David Benda next to the Marvion Overshone, and then I don't know, Jacoby Jones or Ray Thornton on the edge. I think that's a really dirty, second level. So I'm very excited to see what David Benda can do in the spring game because he's always had the potential, in my opinion. He just hasn't put it together. But, yeah, so look out for David Benda, number 33. And then also Ray Thornton, the transfer from LSU. He's already being looked at as a big leader by the team. And I mean, that's pretty special for a guy to come in as a transfer. He's been in the program for a couple months. And he's already one of the leaders that everybody respects. And, just causing a lot of problems off the edge from what we're reading, him and Jacoby Jones too, as well. So, yeah, Ray Thornton's a guy that's, he's built like an Iron Man. He's going to look good in that UT uniform. And I just can't wait to see what he can do because there's not much film on him on LSU. I mean, he had some tackles, some stats, but you can't find any footage of him except when he was in high school. So it's really at least for us fans, we don't know what to expect, what he even looks like when he plays. So hopefully he's got that LSU, that dog, and all their defense seems to play really physical and super athletic. So Ray Thornton, man, he's that's just what the doctor ordered, honestly, some help on the edge. And then Jacoby Jones, that's the surprise. I mean, I did not expect him to be the guy that Keandre Coburn's dapping up and, saying he's wreaking havoc in practice. And I thought it would have been Vernon Broughton, more Ojimo, obviously Alfred Collins making that step. But having Jacoby Jones, the former OU commit, wreaking all this havoc on the edge is just – it's a great thing for the defensive line, for what PK needs to do in his system. Those edge rushers are so important for him with all, the different sets that they do. So, I mean, this is good. This is a good development. Hopefully, it's not a sign that our offensive line sucks, because I tend to believe our offensive tackles are good, but they could just be horrible, and then our
Yeah.
so you never know. But that's why it's practice is hard to read into. But hearing great things out of those three guys. What are you liking from what you're hearing, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, all of those points are obviously big. I'm also really liking what I'm hearing out of Jalen Ford, also kind of coming into his own. I know when he got recruited, I think he was only a 3-star, so he was a little bit more of a project. But Sark's talking about him quite a bit too. Maybe not quite as highly as Benda, but he is saying that if he can just put it all together and give that full effort and that full talent all the time, and not be kind of like a hot flash in the pan, that he can be a really big guy for us. So maybe not this season, but I'm sure by next season, Jalen Ford is going to be a guy that we're talking about a lot, along with Benda, assuming that he won't be leaving, which he won't be, I don't think, anyway. But yeah, so it's good to hear about him, especially with Mitchell now out of here after a very interesting tenure at Texas, to say the least. And then, of course, we got to talk about Tyler Owens moving to linebacker, at least a little bit. I think when we initially heard the news, we're like, oh, shoot, like this is permanent. But it sounds more after reading into it, that this is like a flex thing where he'll be there when he needs to be there, but they're also kind of cross-training him along with, playing safety as well. Madrid or Myers, either of y'all, what are you hearing out of Tyler Owens and his positioning?
Yeah, it's exciting, man. That's kind of what he's been projected to do for a while now. It's safety. He that's where we thought his ceiling was coming out of high school, but just kind of who he is as a player, like his bodybuilding. He's just a huge human being.
He's like an overshown, basically.
Yeah,
They're very
exactly.
comparable.
But he's got like insane speed. I remember him racing Matthew Bowling in high school, and that track meet, like a 10.28 or something crazy like that. So, I mean, like you always say in the Big 12, you need those really fast linebackers to cover space and cover the field. So, I mean, I think he's gonna be a work in progress. I don't even know if he'll like start, or hopefully he contributes in some way. But I mean, this is the move that needed to happen. I'm just kind of sad that it happened a couple years late, because it would have been nice to have him, developing more in the box over the last season. But I mean, nevertheless, it's a good thing for the program, definitely. The safety room kind of gets a little thinner now, but with Brett and Schooler there, it helps out with that. And yeah, I'm just more curious, honestly, because Tyler Owens is kind of like a mythical creature, in my opinion. Not to be like a creature, obviously not, but it's just like we haven't seen him put it together. We've seen flashes. I remember against Louisiana Tech in his first game, he just lit somebody up. And like, oh gosh, there's that 5-star kid. Because remember, he was like a 3-star forever, and then like in like a 1 month span, that burnt orange media conspiracy came through and gave him a 5th star, because he was just popping off at camps and games, and he's finally putting it all together and just showing like the insane potential he had. And that was the reason he got his 5th star, because everybody said this guy has like all pro potential, but he just hasn't put it together yet. So hopefully the coaches, spark something in him to want to move down, because I believe that Orlando and Ash tried to move him down as well, but he didn't want to budge, and now he's finally kind of spinning down, listening to Coach K. So hopefully something starts clicking and he just starts living up to that potential, because with him, his roof is just like unlimited. I mean, he's a very high roof player, so hopefully we'll start hearing more good things out of him in practice. But honestly, I haven't heard much besides him spinning down. I haven't seen anything else or heard anything yet.
Madrid.
Yeah, from the front seven, I think that's probably one I'm most confident on this defense for sure. Reading into how Coach PK does his defense, and how he really just uses like big bodies to like take on blocks, and it's really his edge rushers and linebackers cleaning up the rest of the mess like that. I'm really excited because we have those big bodies on the front seven for sure, especially Vernon Broughton. I'm really excited about what he can do. I don't know if it's just me, but Ray Thornton kind of reminds me of just for what I've been hearing about the leadership side of what he's been doing. When Gary Johnson came and we had
I was
that,
thinking the same thing.
yeah, that linebacker transfer that came in and just kind of
Mhm.
takes a leadership role in the defense. I really think that he's gonna. The more I read into him, the more I'm really excited about what he could be. And same thing with Tyler Owens, man. I've been waiting on that guy so long, man. I feel like we're waiting on that. It's the same class as like BJ and everything, right? Or was he? It was a year
The one
after.
after.
He was a year
Yeah.
after. Okay, my bad. But yeah, I feel like we've been waiting on that guy for so long. And you're right, he does have that hybrid type body that Overshown has too. So I'm really excited what they're gonna do with him as well.
Agreed. Let's go into the DBs and cornerbacks. Corner obviously is very stacked, maybe even too stacked, honestly. But yeah, then again, it never hurts to be too stacked. You got Deshaun Jameson, Josh Thompson, and Darian Dunn, all guys that I totally see being in the NFL. Jameson, obviously, with that great speed and talent, and honestly, really good defender too. I think he's kind of underrated as a defender, being that he, is so notable for his punt and kickoff returns. And then, of course, Josh Thompson really putting it together, kind of becoming a big time leader for this defense. And I mean, we've seen really good games out of him over the years, so it makes sense for him to have it all together this year. And then, of course, Darian Dunn, the new guy on the block, who also extremely talented, really good cover guy at his previous school. So all good guys to watch out for. And then in terms of the DBs, Brendan Schooler being an interesting bright spot. Of course, BJ Foster and Cook, really two upperclassmen that are kind of finally putting it together and really giving full effort. I think that these new coaching staffs have been a very refreshing breath of fresh air for them, coming from the Herman regime, where my guess is because they're so talented that they maybe struggled a little bit with the style that was going on there with, yelling and hard nose and tough love. Now that this new coaching staff is a lot more like focused on coaching, to put it kindly, I think that those guys are prospering a little bit more. So, and that might not be it. Like it could be them as well. Just it could be a multitude of factors. But I want to say that the coaching maybe is a little bit more of their style, and they're giving them a little bit more of the love that they need to really blossom into the players that they can be, along with other players as well. Myers or Madrid, feel free to hop into it. Defensive backs and corners, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know what we have in Josh Thompson and Deshaun Jameson. I think those are guys that can definitely play on Sundays, and it's pretty obvious that they can. And then Darian Dunn and Keaton Crawford right behind them, which is other guys that I think you can kind of slide into. I mean, not starters, but they can play starter minutes. Like say Josh Thompson goes down. I mean, it sounds like you can put Darian Dunn in there, and he'll be totally normal. We'll be fine. And Keaton's a guy that you should look at him. He looks like a freaking NFL player, and I mean, he's shown so many flashes. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't pushed more for a starting job at this point. But that kind of speaks to the top two guys are really good at cornerback, and then the next layer beyond them is some younger guys, Jahdae Barron and now what's his name, Jermaine John. Why am I blanking on his name? The California defensive back, whatever his name is. I can't remember it right now for some reason. Jameer Johnson. Jameer Johnson, a guy that I really had no expectations for at all. I thought he was kind of a reach by the staff, under Herman's staff. I didn't think he translated well, but apparently he's like one of our best early enrollees on the team. Like he's impressing everybody. He's a really big defensive back, which I do like big defensive backs. But I did not expect that. So it seems like we have 6 corners that can, play minutes for us, and I'd feel comfortable with. I mean, obviously we need to see more out of Jameer Johnson, but I mean, we're hearing great things. And so, yeah, you can't complain about the cornerback room. What I'm more interested in is Uh, what's going to go down with Adamora and Anthony Cook? They're going back and forth. You read one practice report, and then Anthony Cook's ahead at the is it the Spur? It's not the Spur anymore. It's the I don't know what it is. I don't know what the position's called, but it was the Spur in the last defense. I'm sorry, but yeah, Anthony Cook and Chris Adamora are just two guys that I think are starter quality. I mean, Adamora obviously I think is one of our best players on the team, so you would think that Adamora would just break away with it. But I mean, it's good to see Anthony Cook finally putting that 5-star potential together, because he was a 5-star at some points during the process out of Houston Lamar. So I mean, you got to find a way to get all these talented DBs, on the field, I think. But at the end of the day, you have to play the best ones, because we saw what Herman, kind of trying to play everybody, get everybody in like a stable. It wasn't great most of the time. So I kind of want to see just who are those guys, particularly in that position battle, who's going to take that spot, because I hope it's Adamora. I love Adamora, but shout out Anthony Cook. He's working hard. So yeah, I mean, DBs are good. I'm not worried about the DBs. I mean, Coach Gideon and Terry Joseph are doing a great job with them, and they're doing a great job of recruiting DBs as well. So yeah, DBs are like the least of my concerns, and hopefully we can bring back like a semblance of DBU with this group in the next season. But I don't know. We still have our Twitter location for the Texas football Twitter is DBU, which is kind of rich.
Changed that.
Wait, they changed it?
Yeah, we changed it, I think, after the LSU game.
Oh, yeah. We changed ours, but Texas football, the actual Twitter account, has our location as DBU on Twitter.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah, so, I mean, we were the first DBU. That's a fact. We were the first team ever named DBU.
The original.
We have more first-rounders, like double all-time defensive backs than LSU.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, it still says
still
DBU.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, we were DBU. I want it to come back, so hopefully these guys can do it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Madrid, thoughts on the DBs?
Yeah. It's funny. I for some reason, I'm thinking a lot of us fans think this way too. We've been burned so many times in our secondary, and you just think about the LSU game and stuff like that. And it's also kind of like goes like what Matt said. It's like you feel comfortable with these guys, and it's like there's a lot of good talent here. Deshaun Jefferson's gotten better every year. Josh Thompson's gotten better every year. Like a lot of these guys have gotten better every year, and you kind of like, man, maybe the COVID year is low key a blessing because we can keep them around a little longer, and they get to see this new defense and this new scheme and just better coaching. I'm with Matt in the same in the saying that I'm really excited to see these guys finally just come into their own. A lot of them just kind of and it's that it's a stable thing that Herman had, is you just kind of got glimpses of things and you're like, man, that guy just played a little more. He'd be insane. Our boy BJ Foster posting hype videos again, so maybe this year's the year. Who knows? I'm hard on that guy, but I just want that guy to be good. I just want that guy to be so good. But yeah, I feel really confident in them. Keaton Crawford looks like a goddamn man out there. So does Anthony Cook. I'm more of an Anthony Cook guy, just from him killing who. Forget it was in the Sugar Bowl. I don't know. He was killing guys out there getting penalties. I don't know. I fell in love then. But yeah, all the DBs pretty safe bet this year. What do you think, Trevor?
Agreed. Yeah, a lot of depth at that position. A lot of really talented guys. We haven't really mentioned Jaron Thompson that much, or JD Coffey. I mean, yeah, it's an endless list, honestly. I really like Jaron Thompson a lot. He showed a lot of good things to me at the end of last season when he kind of took over Caden Stern's role. Also kind of a leader on the team. Seems like a vocal guy. I like seeing the video clips of him. He seems to talk a lot and kind of, give off that encouraging leadership role. So definitely good to see from a young player. But yeah, a very talented position. And I think we're in good hands with Blake Gideon and Terry Joseph coaching there. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up this episode. We went a little long, but we had a lot to say. Obviously, be on the lookout for further videos in the future. Again, if you're new here, please subscribe. We're hoping to get to 3,000 come September 11th for the Arkansas game. So please share with your friends if you liked what you saw. And yeah, a lot of excitement. Spring game, not this coming weekend, but the weekend thereafter. So get excited for that if you're coming down to Austin or checking out the game. I'm sure it's going to be a good time. So until then, y'all take care. Hook 'em, horns up.
Yeah, I'll be sitting there.